Hello, University of Lincoln students. My name is Lauren Kelly, and I'm really excited to be here with you today. I hope everything is going well for you, that you are staying sane, safe, and healthy during this very interesting time that we're in right now. Um, Thank you to Nikki for inviting me in to talk with you today, and I hope that some of the information that I'm going to share is helpful. So without further ado, my name is Lauren Kelly, and I am coming to you from Woodhull Spa, from my little home office due to the self-isolation. Otherwise, I would have loved the opportunity to be with you in person if we could convene today. So I'm just going to pop a share up here on my screen, and we'll get started. So I've been asked today to talk a little bit on surviving isolation, and this is a new uncharted waters for many of us, and it can be a really trying time. So I'm going to share a little bit about some tips that you can take during this time. But first I want to share a little bit about myself. So you know who I am. You've probably noticed that I have a bit of an accent. So I am from America. I live in Woodhull Spa. My husband is an exchange officer with the Royal Air Force at RAF Coningsby. So that's what brought us to the area. But who am I and what am I? Why am I speaking to you? So again, my name's Lauren Kelly, and I am a career coach and college instructor. And I specifically work in the career coaching realm with students. So my mission with all my work across all facets of it is just to empower young people to pursue the future with confidence and clarity. We have a huge population of our students in the UK and the States, across the world, who are attending university really uncertain of what it is they actually want to do when they graduate. And so a huge part of what I do is, one, help students get really clear on what that path is for them that's going to bring them lasting fulfillment. And then the other half of what I do is help students gain valuable internships, work experience that's going to look great on a resume and help them land their first job. So do two parts, helping them find a career path and then also the job coaching part. So a little bit of backstory about that. I have three main inspirations for the work that I do. On the left is my little brother. All three of these are my brothers. One by blood, two are in-laws. But my youngest brother really struggled. He went to university. Everyone told him that's what you should do. Went for 2 years, really was struggling to find a path that was for him. And despite everyone kind of being angry at him, he said, you know what, I think I've missed my calling to be an electrician. So against popular belief of my parents and his teachers, he said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and leave university, go pursue this other path. He's doing extremely well now at the age of 25 in a skilled trade. So he's one of my inspirations. The middle brother, that's Kevin, and he just had a lot of anxiety. What major do I choose? How do I know I'm going to be happy in this long term? And he shared some of those struggles with me. And then finally, my brother-in-law on the right, his name is Ryan, and he was entering his senior year or third year of university. I don't know, I've not had a work experience yet. I don't know what direction I want to take. I'm going to networking and career fairs, and people ask me these questions and I just don't know how to answer it. So from these interactions with my brothers and really feeling their struggles with regard to the future, I decided I've done this for years in the college and university setting. I need to start helping people individually. So that's what led me to my work. So if I can be of assistance to you at all in any of those ways, please get in contact with me. I always offer a free initial meeting with students just to kind of get to know you and answer any questions. So please take me up if you're feeling like you can relate with one of my brothers here. So why are we here today? We're talking about isolation. We've got this huge pandemic on our hands and a lot of time. So before we get started, I just want to ask you to engage in a 60-second brainstorm, okay? So either on an iPhone note or maybe on a little pad of paper, I want you to just take 1 minute and write down the struggles that you've experienced since the beginning of the COVID-19 isolation order. So it's been a little over a week now that Boris Johnson asked us to stay home and only leave for essential items. And I want you to list the struggles you've experienced since then. And go. Few more seconds here. Doesn't matter what you write down, whether it's interactions with people, getting things you need. I'm going to share my list in a few seconds as well. Okay, if you're still writing a few things, that's fine. For some of you, you probably filled up a note really quickly. Others of you, you may have struggled just a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. For me, in my 60-second brainstorm, these are the struggles that I came up with. So here up on the slide is a photo of me and my little baby girl. She's 11 weeks old, so she's fairly new, just had her in January. And one of my biggest struggles is I don't have daycare anymore. So my daycare called about 2 weeks ago and said, due to the virus, we're closing our doors, no more daycare. So for me, working from home, trying to balance clients, appointments, and deadlines, grading papers for my online students, not having daycare has been a tough struggle for me. I've been missing interaction with friends. So you may have heard of introverted versus extrovert personalities. I fall more on the extrovert side. So since our cafes have closed, no coffee shop meetings with friends anymore, strictly missing interactions with people. Had a lot of uncertainty about work. So what's it going to look like for me past this semester? How are people going to respond to the economic hardships? Less money to spend on services? Are students going to continue to go to school? Lots of things kind of up in the air there. I don't know about you. Can't get a Tesco order. It's really hard. They'll come once I do get a Tesco order. A lot of times the food and supplies doesn't come, so that's kind of been an anxiety on my mind or a struggle. I feel a little trapped inside. Luckily, the weather was pretty nice last week, so I was able to get out in the garden some, but just really feeling like I'm confined to my house. And the worry of not knowing when this is going to end. We've been asked to isolate, but I don't know how long that's going to last. So those are some of the struggles that I faced. We're going to come back to this list. So I just want you to keep that there. Hang on to it for a second. So we've got these struggles, and we want to come up with ways to overcome them. So 5 tips for surviving isolation that I'm going to share with you today. And I've chosen just one word to describe each tip. So the first one I'm going to cover is focus. The second one I'm going to cover is invest. 3 is connect, 4 is move, and 5 is structure. So let's get started. So I want to ask you to think about, what have your days looked like so far? We've been in this self-isolation for just over a week. What do they look like for you? I found this particular post on Twitter. It made me chuckle. His quarantine routine is that he gets up at 9 a.m. and then stares at his phone until 2. So you might be able to relate with this a little bit. I know I've spent a few more hours than normal lately looking at my phone. But if this is you right now, kind of unstructured, unfocused days, we want to change that. That's the whole purpose of our conversation today. So my first tip is to focus. And I'm going to share throughout this presentation a couple of resources with you that can really help you through this time of uncertainty and through this time of isolation. So number 1 is focus. And one of my favorite resources is The One Thing by Gary Keller. So this is a really quick read book if you're interested in reading. If you're not, they have some great online free resources and kind of a Cliff Notes copy for those of you who are more of the skimmers when you're reading some of your material. But in this book, he suggests that we need a focusing question. So it helps us to prioritize, it helps us to really focus in on what we need to get done. So for you right now in isolation, the focusing question is, what is one thing I need to do? And then for each area of your life. So what's one thing that you need to do today or this week for university? What's the one thing you need to do today or this week for your health, for your family, for your future? So you can change out that ending. Maybe for some of you, it's what's one thing that I need to do for my friends, for my sanity, but switch that out. And for each one of those questions that you ask yourself, whatever your one thing is in that area, those are the things that you really need to prioritize as you think about your day and your week. So the time management technique, and by asking this focusing question, we're really narrowing in on one thing in each area. So again, it helps us set a priority, because what happens when we start to build a to-do list? If you're anything like me, you build a to-do list and then you start doing the things that are most appealing to you. And sometimes I even add things to my to-do list before I get everything done, just so I have something else to do so I can avoid some of them. Or I'll do something that's not on the list and then write it on there so I can cross it off. It's oddly validating for me. So this focusing question, what's one thing I need to do today for university? I know your classes are still going on. What's one thing I need to do for my family? So answering that question each day, each week, is really going to help you bring focus to your day. Tip number 2 is to invest. So what I want you to think about in this time of isolation is the one resource that we have is our time. So how can you invest your time now in the present to make a difference in your future? So the future is the future depends on what we do in the present. So how can you use this right now to impact your future? Here are a few ideas. 1, write or update your CV. If you haven't done this yet, I'm going to share some great resources for that. Refine your interviewing skills. I also have resources for some common interview questions and how you should answer those. You could use this time to develop a new skill. So perhaps you are considering going into business management or international business. Maybe you've thought about learning a language, or you did a while back, but you're not really polished. Now would be a great time to kind of polish up some of those skills. There are also a number of organizations offering free coursework. So once university is over, if we still happen to be self-isolating at that time, you could gain a new computer skill, new program language, something of that nature. Conduct job market research. So this is huge. If you can spend 15 minutes a day looking at Indeed, looking at the university's job bank, but make yourself familiar with what companies are hiring, what they're looking for, what the wage is for jobs in your field. By educating yourself on all of these areas, you're going to make yourself more knowledgeable when it comes time to negotiate a job offer. So you walk in, you've been offered a job, they offer you a salary, but you know, based on your research, that the market average is actually 5,000 pounds a year higher. So because you've done your research and you can back that up, you're more informed during negotiations. Read a self-development book. So I've talked to a number of hiring managers who they want to know how you've been investing in yourself recently. So a common job interview question that gets asked sometimes is, tell me the last thing you read. What's the last book you read to kind of help you with your future? So it can be a great answer for that, but it also allows you to kind of invest in yourself. And I have a list of 10 of my favorite self-development books that I'm going to share with you today as well. The next one, idea for investing in yourself, is to find an industry relevant professional organization to join. So across the country, there are multiple organizations. Maybe you're going into engineering. So you can just simply Google professional organizations in engineering. And many of these organizations offer a free or a highly reduced student rate to join. And the benefits from it are you get publications that you can stay up to date with what's going on in the field. Again, good talking points for interviewing. Great networking opportunities. So once we're out of isolation, a lot of these organizations have a yearly conference or quarterly networking events in different regions. So this is an excellent opportunity for you to research some of those organizations and get potentially involved. And it looks great on a CV. Finally, listen to podcasts. So I love to have a podcast going in the background while I'm cooking. A podcast is a great way to invest in your future and also kind of take away some of that isolation feelings. So I'm going to show you an article on my website that has a whole bunch of ideas for how you can invest now during isolation to help propel you in the future. My third tip is to connect. And I don't know if you've heard of author Brene Brown. She's a speaker and author and researcher. But she says we are hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives, and without it, there is suffering. So if you are in isolation and you are spending all day, every day alone, it's going to take its toll on you, whether you're an extrovert or introvert. So connect with people. Some ideas for connecting: FaceTiming with a classmate to discuss an assignment, calling a friend or family member. There's a lot of virtual networking going on right now. Just check on LinkedIn. I'm sure you can find one in your area. I've seen multiple around the Lincoln area. But it could be a national, you could be networking with people in London as well. Connect with a professional to do an informational interview. So a lot of us professionals are working from home right now, and we have a little extra time. Things are a little slow. So now is a great time to connect with someone to learn a little bit more about what they do, their company, the ins and outs of the industry. You could do a mock interview to connect. So that kind of is investing and connecting at the same time. And seek out more opportunities like this. Kudos to you for being here today and being present. This is a form of connection and community gathering. So excellent job. My fourth tip is easy, and it's just to move. So Boris Johnson has said we should leave the house once a day for essentials and to exercise. And one of the best ways to clear your mind and to keep positive and energized is to be active. So just this morning, I was out at 7 a.m. with my daughter strapped on. I was listening to a podcast. She was taking a nap in the carrier, and we went for a brisk walk. We were out for an hour walking. So a few free resources for you if you're maybe not into walking or running. Right now, Core Power Yoga and Peloton are both offering free classes online. Fitness Blender makes a home workout for you. And of course, running and walking outdoors, just a few ideas. Finally, my fifth tip for surviving isolation, and this is a big one: be sure to structure your week. So once you've asked that focusing question and you've prioritized those things in first, then you want to find ways to invest, pick people to connect with, build that into your week, and really structure out your time and your movement as well. If you're rubbish at holding yourself accountable, find someone to help you with that. So back to that One Thing resource by Gary Keller, and I'll provide this resource to Nikki. You can map out your week. One of the best things you can do to survive this isolation is really map it out and hold yourself accountable. So this is a great tool for that. Excuse me. And I just want to end with this quote, something to think about. Time is an equal opportunity employer. Each human being has exactly the same number of hours and minutes every day. Rich people cannot buy more hours, and scientists cannot invent new minutes. You can't save time and spend it on another day. Even so, time is amazingly fair and forgiving. No matter how much time you wasted in the past, you still have an entire tomorrow. So how can you use this precious time you've been given to propel yourself forward for the future? Think about some of the information I've shared today. And I also want to show you these two articles. I have some things to do during quarantine where I list out 7 things. If your resume or your CV is something that you'd like to update, I have some free guides for you here. So writing a cover letter, looking for jobs and internships, and then also 10 books you can read for personal growth. So those articles are on my website. and I will provide links to Nikki to share with you. So if we go back to our original brainstorming activity, hopefully some of the 5 tips that I shared with you today will help you alleviate some of these struggles that you're facing. So for me, not having daycare, I've really had to structure my days and focus in on what I need to get done and utilize the time that my husband's home to help me do that. Missing interaction with friends, that's the connect piece. So I'm having a family game night tonight with my family in the States so that I can have some of that interaction. Uncertainties about work, just keeping myself busy, moving, being active has really helped with that. And just really structuring my time. So I just want to end with a reminder, laurenkellycoaching.com/blog, or where you can find the articles that I've mentioned today. Also, I'm happy to connect with you and just chat about where you're at. We're all in this isolation together, and it's going to take a collective community and country to beat it. So please reach out if I can be helpful to you in this, and thank you for being here today.